All right, all. How you guys doing? Welcome to part two of our Let's Learn to Play with Hot Lead and Cold Steel together. In this video, we're going to be going over the order phase, the activation phase, movement and maneuvers, and issuing orders. I believe that's the gist of what I'd like to accomplish. Thankfully, these blue books from Osprey Games are pretty small, so it's kind of nice that it doesn't take a lot to go through them all, because there just isn't a lot to them. But I really feel like they maximize the space, and I found that pretty much with all of these Osprey games. They seem to pack a lot into the space they're given. So I'm really enjoying this from what I've read so far, and hopefully that continues. And the big part, I mean, for when any of us play, we hope that our first interest we have from reading the rules translates onto the battlefield into a good game. So there's stuff about picking your generals and activating your army. Each brigade, which I think most traditionally from what I've read in Civil War, was anywhere between 3 to 6 regiments. So I'm just going with 4 here and 4 here, and there's 3 out here, and there's cavalry and artillery there. So it's kind of a mix. I'm in the middle of painting an additional Confederate regiment right now of Zouaves. I'm going to do Louisiana. I forgot the name of the unit. It's something Tigers. It's named after their unit, who was kind of a soldier. Their commander was kind of a soldier of fortune. They fought at First Manassas and several other battles. Weeks Tigers. They have a flag for them in the Perry Zouaves box, so it'll be the one different looking flag. I'd like to have at least one original kind of special unit besides the Marines for each side in the battle. I'm going to have like an Iron Brigade regiment for the Union, plus the U.S. Marines. And then for the Confederates, I'll have Wheat's Tigers. And I hope that's right, because I'm going to keep saying it over and over again if I'm wrong. I love making the same mistake over and over again. But, well, it happens. And the Confederate Marines, which are right here. So, each brigade has a brigadier general. You have a major general with this fancy guy off the side. You might not be able to see him in the frame I'm showing you. I like that guy. I think he's like Jeb Stewart or something like that. He looks really kind of fancy. That figure really doesn't do anything. He's just kind of significant. He's just kind of symbolic. There is, in the advanced game, that'll probably be the last one before we get into the actual demonstration game. There is some rules for corps commanders and divisional commanders in the advanced rules. I've seen this mentioned in here. I'll do that later. I haven't read that far into the book, and I try to keep it on the just the here and now. I've got a lot going on at work. We're in the middle of implementing a new program, so it's a lot of work. And I've been getting slaughtered. So I've been working like 13 days in a row right now. So, but that's okay. It's going to help the community, so it's going to be all right. So everything's focused on the brigade commanders. So you can either pick them historically, or you can. I don't even know if there's even points in this game in the end. Or you can just kind of, you could probably roll for them if you wanted to. I'm not really sure. But you have excellent officers who get a +2 in all their rolls, and they get a rally test. They get a +2 on that too. A great officer is the next level down. They get a +1 on order rolls and a rally test. A competent officer gets no modifiers, and then you've got an incompetent officer gets a -1 on all their rolls. Now, what brigade commanders can do, they can issue orders. They can allow 1 re-roll on orders for 1 unit in the brigade per turn. And they can allow 1 re-roll on a morale test for 1 unit in the brigade per turn. So that's kind of nice. I'm going to read this part in picking your generals, because I did kind of farts around with that and probably screw it up. I'm just going to mention it here. In They call it WHLCS, so it's with hot lead and cold steel. You can field officers that are excellent, good, mediocre, or bad, depending on historical scenario, or you can just pick one that is of average competence for a one-off friendly game. With hot lead and cold steel, is ideally suited to play historical scenarios. We allow players to determine how good a commander was and should be. Civil War buffs will have a good idea which historical person matches which particular description. We have a dedicated full section on creating generals. That's later on. An Army Commander section in the advanced rules. That's farther on down in the book on page 54 if you got your own copy. For now, it's enough to note there are 4 classes of officers. These add certain modifiers to your order rolls, which we went over, and morale rally tests. Okay, so we took care of that. All right, we're going to take a quick pause, and then we're going to come back on issuing orders, and we'll probably touch on the ADCs, because they are a little bit different from what I'm used to, which is general d'armée stuff. All right, at the beginning of a turn, you roll the number of ADCs you have. So you roll a 10-sided dice, and it's called a D5. So a 1 and 2 is a 1, a 3 and a 4 is 2. Anyone who play Dungeons & Dragons will know this stuff. And then you add +1 to that. And that'll give you your available ADCs. So let's say you don't use any for initiative, and you get, let's say, a 3. So then you'll have 4 ADCs, get the +1. So you rolled that could have been confusing, and I apologize. Yeah, you rolled a 6. All right, so that counts as 3 ADCs, correct? Yes. Then you add 1 to that, so you have a total of 4 ADCs. So let's say we're dealing with this force here. They have 1, 2, 3 brigadiers. Let's give 2 to this gentleman, 1 to this guy, and 1 to this guy. All right. Now, let's say they're all just basic brigadier or brigadier generals. So no big modifiers. We'll keep it simple. They always said in the military, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay. So, now, I want to issue orders. When you issue orders, it comes from the brigadier. Each guy has a 10-inch radius. You can't command stuff that's out of radius. It's not like our other game, which I'm having Regimental Fire and Fury, where you have in command and out of command. This is like you're out of command, you're not commanding it. So, every regiment is within 10 inches. I don't think it's the center. We'll just say it's any guy in the unit, so it counts. Then you choose what you want to do. So you have 4 types of orders. You have forward, quick time, double quick, and charge. Forward is 1 move or maneuver. We'll differentiate between move and maneuvers later on. And you may shoot that turn. So that's good. And that's a 4+. These are on 10-sided dice. A quick time is 2 moves and or maneuvers. So you can do like 2 moves and no maneuvers, or 1 move and a maneuver. But you can't shoot. So, and that's a +5 to achieve your goal there. And then it goes up to double quick time, and you get 3 moves and or maneuvers. You can't shoot. And you get a fatigue penalty, which is the same as a casualty in this game. And then if you want to charge, doesn't matter if you're 3 inches away, you want to charge. Charging, as they said, what didn't happen a lot, and they always talk about it in the movies. But these guys didn't want to run in and stab each other. They would much more likely to line up and just blaze away at each other, which I think was very common until they ran out of ammunition or something. But they did charge at some point, but it's difficult. And that's up to 3 moves and maneuvers. May not shoot, but no fatigue penalties because of the adrenaline. But once you charge, if you get into that hand-to-hand and you fight it out, both of them will take a fatigue penalty at the end of it. So it's gonna get you there at some point. When the adrenaline wears out and you get done hooking and weaving and stabbing and slashing, you're gonna take that fatigue penalty once the fight's done. Okay, so you got 4, 5, 6, and 8. If you are outside of command radius, let's say we do an order, and the entire brigade fails the order. They rolled like a 1 or 2. I don't want to get into 1 is something else. So he rolled a 2, modified. They can't move. He can re-roll for 1 regiment. So let's say he moves these guys and he hits the jackpot and they go screaming out 3 moves. The rest of the regiment's way back here. And the brigadier goes forward with them. So these guys are all out of command. So technically they couldn't move. There's supposed to be some spice in the advanced rules that can change that. But if you roll an 8 or better, they're allowed to move up to 3 moves. But if they go 3 moves, they incur a fatigue penalty. So 2 is the sweet spot. And they try to rejoin up with the regiment. So that's the way you do out of command. Now, for all of these, there's modifiers. And they're right here on the modifier screen. And also, these can also be affected by those ADCs that I told you about. So here's the modifier table. If you're excellent, we mentioned before, +2 on and you get a reroll order. ADC, for each one of those you offer to a brigadier, they get a +1 for each one of those. So I gave him 2. He's going to have an automatic +2. Brigade in a multiple line formation. If these guys were all in one brigade, that's multiple lines. That's a bonus of +1. If you have a great officer, they get a +1 roll. A competent officer is no additions, but you can get a reroll for 1 regiment. And an incompetent officer is a -1. They get a -1 modifier for having all that beautiful stuff. So if this was just a competent officer with 2 ADCs, they're not in multiple columns. It would just be, and let's say you just want to do 2 moves. But they do have 2 ADCs, I said. So that would be a +2. And I want to do a quick time, so I'm looking for a 5. So I have to roll like basically a 3, and I could get, if I rolled over a 3, I could move 2 moves, but they can't shoot. And then we talked about in the first video the stats for the units. I apologize here while I look this up. These guys have a regular infantry have a move of 12 inches, so they could go forward up to 24 inches straight ahead if they passed. And that would be no maneuvers. That's basically straight ahead. Your maneuvers are your move to the flank. My camera just picked up that bug up there, I think. I don't know if it's still filming me. It does pick up movement, and I had like a wasp come down here, and I think it just picked it up. Let me check my camera right back. Oh, it's following me. Oh, hi, how are you? I think I made a hand maneuver, and it picked me up. Oh, that's kind of cool. All right, it's not filming troops anymore. It's filming me. I think if I do this, it stops. I don't know. We'll see. I'll do a lot of hand maneuvers, so sometimes it does it. And I've wasted talking about this gimbal too many times already. That's kind of neat. I finally got it to do something. I'm kind of excited. All right, so when you are rolling, let's say I'm trying to do a 3 order move. Just because you don't achieve that doesn't mean you're hosed, basically. Let's say you need an 8 to let's look it up for sure. Let's say you need a 6+ to do a 3 moves of maneuvers. Let's say you roll a 7. That's a 6. Sorry. Let's say you roll a 5. You can still do the 2 maneuvers, that's pretty cool. So you don't get stuck just because you failed, you still get to move a little. And if you got a 4, you could do the 1 maneuver. So that's kind of neat. You just can't I don't know if you can upstream it. Maybe you can. I don't know. The rules look like you could, but I think maybe you tactically might not want to do 3 moves. All because it's horrible. I think 2, from what I've heard from like when other people have played this game, 2's the sweet spot if you just want to move because you don't suffer that fatigue casualty or penalty. So if you want to move, you do 2 moves, and if you want to shoot and move, you just do 1 move and then fire. And then if you want to charge, you charge. So I think you don't, if you try to, like, I'm going to go for 2 moves, but you roll a 9, you don't get to go, you don't have to go 3 moves or you don't have to charge because you didn't say you wanted to go that far. So there's a little bit of black powder in that, which is kind of cool. I could do a little pause there, but so there's penalties for rolling 1s, which is kind of a little too fat lardies thing in what I would call it. And there's also for 10s for shooting, I think is bad too. But if you roll a 1 when you're trying to order, you get a natural. When a natural 1 is rolled, the order fails and the brigade may not move, though it can fire. Additionally, one of those strange coincidences in the Civil War is famous for occurs. Roll a 1d10 and consult the unexpected event table to see what happens. The roll of 1 may never be re-rolled or modified. So 1, they can't hit an elephant at this distance. 2, lost special order 191. 3 it is well that a war is so terrible. 4 is gone with the wind. They're all kind of historical. It's kind of confused. 5 is confused and stunned like a duck hit on its head. 6 is Old Dan Battlefield. These are they're all kind of, you can read about these things. I can't wait to try these. Get the first fire with the firstest fire with the mostest. 8 is let them start thinking about what we're going to do to them next. And then 9 is though I walk through the shadow of the valley of death, I will fear no evil. And 10 is give them the cold steel. So it looks like if you roll lower, bad things kind of happen. If you roll higher, insane stuff good things start happening. You either start blasting away like you've got machine guns, or you're just kind of screwed and you shoot bullets all over the place. I mentioned movement. That's in the stats. So you got your 12 inches for infantry per move, and then what did we say for cavalry? I'm going to go over that one page where in the back here where I like it. Cavalry units, they can move, looks like 16 when they're mounted and 10 when they're dismounted. So that's kind of cool. And then artillery will do that later on. So we'll look at regimental formations and lines. Line of battle is when you have all. This is not line of battle. So line of battle is all four brigades, all 4 regiments of the brigade in a line all the way across. March column is basically marching. Assault column is basically an assault column. I don't want to move well. I would just do it. If you've seen my battle reports before, I'd probably have 4 units up front, and then I would just go. I would do. Something like that would be my. I'd get this all mathematically right. I think I've got a unit in the wrong place, but you would have. Yeah, I do. Sorry, 4 up front, not 5. Sorry, that's why I'm screwing up. And yeah, you get the point. It'd be something like that. Perfect. That would be my march column, assault column. March column would be by 2s this way. Then you have infantry brigade formations. Echelon is when you have them. This is kind of neat. Give me a second here while I don't know if I can. I end up messing up my stuff. This is a lot easier with multi-base, but this is stuff you can't do unless you have a ton of different movement trays to do these different formations. It's kind of cool. So echelon is, you got 1 forward here, 1 forward here, 1 forward here, and 1 forward here. Multiple lines is when they're stacked this way. Brigade and columns. The brigade and column was used to smash through enemy defense regiments were deployed directly behind each other. It sounds like multiple lines. Oh, this is multiple lines. Sorry. So that's your big one. You got 4x4. Brigade and column is when you have them this way. I apologize. So multiple lines is good for, that's your best maneuver right there. 2x2. Broken brigade formation. Brigades in brigade formation that lose 50% or more of their starting regiments are considered to have lost that formation and are allowed to assume a brigade formation for the rest of the game. So if you're down to 2, you're considered a broken brigade. How terrain affects movement. Difficult terrain is a half move. Infantry and march column adds 2 inches per move. Infantry and march column on the road adds 4 inches per move. Limbered artillery on the road is 4 inches per road. Cavalry and column on the road answers 4. Maneuvers are kind of cool. That's coming from, so the first maneuver is from column to line of battle and reverse. So let's say you're in column and you want to shake out the line, that would count as one maneuver. So you would basically come out of that column, or I guess if you were in the attack column, coming out into line of battle. That would be one maneuver. Going back or getting back into march column would be 1. And you have the wheel move, where you swing like a gate and you measure from the outside move. One flank is used as a turning point. The opposite flank pivots around. Measure the distance from the flank that is moving. A unit may wheel up to 1 full move. Infantry unit has a move of 10, therefore it may wheel up to 10 during that maneuver. An oblique movement is, going the diagonal thing. A unit can move forward slanting its movement up to 45 degrees while still facing forwards. One unit in line of battle may use this maneuver subtracting 2 from their move distance. So I guess you would lose some coordination instead of just going forward. You just lose 2. You go down to 8 inches as they slide off to the right. A good way to close up a gap. Let's say you had a brigade here, and a brigade here. And let's say this brigade got crushed and they fell back. You could bring these in to concentrate and close up that gap and not get crushed in the middle there. Refuse to flank, we saw in Regimental Fire and Fury. That would be, let's see what they do it as. When the flank of a unit has been threatened, the commander could give the order to refuse to flank. This was the most common method to respond to a flanking move by the enemy. The commander will place several companies at an angle while the rest of the regiment is kept facing forward. In essence, one wing of the regiment remains where it is. The other wing places a 90-degree angle, still touching the other wing, effectively binding back. In game terms, half the regiment may fire its original direction while the other half. So that would be, it says 90 degrees, so, and half the regiment. So it would be something like this. I guess you would split your fire, but then you can't get flanked. Hopefully you can see that. Boom. Move by the flank is going sideways. That's kind of like, instead of, if you don't want to go towards the enemy, you can move over. I think, did something just die? It sounded good. You follow me now? I don't know what's going on. Each change of face takes 1 inch of movement. For example, a unit wishes to shift to the left and link up with another unit. One move allows you to turn 1 inch movement up to 8 inches to the left. One of the easiest maneuvers was move by the flank. It was used to quickly shift a line of battle to left or right. Men were given the order to turn and face their left. Oh, okay, that's, you go boom, and then you go. Each change of face takes, so that would take 1 inch to face to the left. You go 8 inches forward, boom, you shift back to the right. Shift back to the forward, and that would be 10 inches of movement. I guess you can do that. About face, the unit turns 180 degrees, and that takes 1 full move. So if you want to get someone coming up behind you, just boom, you flip. Passing the lines, I'm going to go see if the camera's still working. This one is a little bit different, and it's pretty important, so give me a minute here. What up, player? All right, So I'm having fun with this thing now. Follow me. That's kind of. I can't remember the. I remember how to do the follow me sign, but I can't remember how to make it stop. Maybe I did right there. Okay, cool. Passing of lines. The passing of lines is necessary to relieve a regiment on the front lines that have taken serious casualties and replace them with a fresh unit. It also goes the other way when retreating units move back in a disorderly fashion and a fresh unit formed up has to let their comrades pass through. One unit opens up their ranks to allow the other unit to pass through them. There are countless examples where passing a lines worked well, but there are just as many examples where chaos ensued. Because of the unpredictable nature of passing a line, we have come up with a system that reflects the difficulties of this particular move. Units that wish to pass another line of troops may try to do so. There are several restrictions, however. First, a unit wanting to pass another unit may only use one move. Running while trying to pass through another unit is impossible. 2, the unit has to clear the other unit completely. The base must not overlap at all at the end of the maneuver. If the unit cannot move through another unit with at least 75% of their bases not having to pass the other unit, it can do so without testing. Okay, so if it's just like going, barely scooting by, with only 25% of the guys, they could do that for free. Sorry, I might have not read that perfectly right. All right, so I think there's a modifier too if your units are awesome or not. Maybe not. So you roll a dice when it happens, and a 1 is like they become you're hosed. 2, the unit that's about to be passed through is unable to provide enough space for its comrades. The unit wanting to pass stops on contact when other unit bases may not touch or overlap. 3 to 5, with great difficulty, the unit passes through and succeeds and clears the other unit. It takes the rest of the turn to redress its ranks. It may not do anything else this turn. Bases may not touch, not overlap. And then 6, the unit passing through does so without difficulty and quickly reforms on their side. And it may fire as normal. Bases may not touch or overlap. So 6 through 10 is what you want. 3 through 5 is a struggle, but you can't shoot, but you succeed. I thought there was a +1 to this if you're an excellent unit, but maybe I'm wrong. And 1s and 2s are just you're hosed. 1 is yeah. They come on 4 mass. It's terrible. Oh yeah, that's good. All right, and that's really it for maneuvers and everything else. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. So when we come back, I will do shooting and some base removal in our next video. And I might get into hand-to-hand, which I probably will because it's pretty small and they're very similar. And then we'll do some morale stuff, and then we'll do some advanced rules, and then we'll be done. And yeah, so far so good. I hope it's entertaining. Sorry I made some weird symbols to this camera and making it do stuff. And sorry, I'm putting these units back. Continue to paint. If you can look over here, got a bunch of Union guys about done. Got a bunch more over here. Maybe you can't. I don't know if the camera's picking them up or not because now it's following me. If I do this, will it follow me? There you go. There's a bunch of guys here. Got a bunch of bases final. I just got those in yesterday, so I'm gonna start basing these stuff up, and they'll have more Union troops. And yeah, we'll be in business. So hope this was helpful. We will. I might go right into the next next video immediately. And yeah, because this is I'm getting to the home stretch. I'm just painting like a madman. I want to play a Chain of Command game, but I really feel like the Too Fat Lardies are going to pump out a second edition, and then I'll be like a dud. So I think I might hold off on Chain of Command until I get that done, or they get that done and release it. So yeah, hope all's well. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to my buddy Aled has been sending me stuff about Pickett's Charge 2. I guess he's been playtesting it, so that's amazing. So that one's, I'll be ready to try that. That might actually work better with the epic miniatures because I'm going to do bigger battles for that when I do the epic scale stuff. Cool. So, moving right along. We'll be back with shooting in video number 3 for this. Hope all is well with you, and take care.